Hi, it's the Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. I wanted to get back to you on some products that I have been trying for a while. I have been so completely overwhelmed by new products coming into my collection that I have been not as good as I had hoped to be about checking back with you on product reviews. I love to do first impressions. I love trying stuff for the first time, but the truth is I'm always really curious to see what kind of rises to the top. The stuff that I can't stop using, the stuff that my hands automatically reach for. Do you have products like that in your collection where you're like, man, how did I get halfway through this? I haven't even had it that long. There are a few of those in here. I'm not putting any lip products in here. I thought I would do a lip product roundup later. So let's start with some stuff. Some of this is from November, December, maybe even late October. I think most everything in here is in the last quarter, but let's talk about it. This product really surprised me. This is the, what is it? The Futurist Hydra Rescue from Estee Lauder. I have the lightest shade in this. This is shade 1N0 Porcelain. I feel like, it's not like halfway gone, but for a person who doesn't wear foundation every day and then has specific foundations they wear on work days and not work days, I've used a lot of this. I really like this. All right, here are some things you need to know about me. 38 years old. I have a lot of dynamic facial lines, yep. And I have the tendency to really use a lot of skincare. So if I have a lot of skincare and then I put something like this over the top, there's more of a chance that if this is also a moisturizing kind of glowy, dewy foundation, that you're going to see some of those products settling into lines. My favorite thing about this is just the way that it looks so pretty and so moist on the skin. I usually rub it in a little bit more. That's a lot for like the back of my hand, but it just looks so pretty and like moisturized skin. So out of all the products that I have had recently enter my collection, this is one I just keep coming back to. I do have to very carefully powder my forehead because if not, because it is moisturizing and I do use a lot of skincare, I will find little lines of product in my expression lines if I don't powder. So I always powder my forehead here, underneath my eyes, kind of corners of my mouth and my chin. On days that I want a nice glowy look, I don't actually put any powder here. I'm headed to work today, so I do have powder products on my cheeks, but this is one of those that for me and my 48-year-old skin, which the older I get, the drier it gets, it actually makes my skin look like it did 3 or 4 years ago. And there's been a huge change in my skin. 3 or 4 years ago, I had more bounce, I had more glow, I had a more youthful looking appearance overall. And I feel like there's something in this formula that makes it look like skin and glowy, but not greasy. I have combo skin in the summer. Now that it's winter, I really don't have a lot of extra oils cropping up around my nose, but my skin isn't super dry if I keep up with my skincare. If the temperatures dip down to single digits, and we had a couple of weeks like that in December, and I'm not really good with my nighttime skincare routine, I can get a little dry. This doesn't catch in any dry patches. This just makes my skin look beautiful. This is one of those that kind of surprised me, and I'm kicking myself for not picking it up when it came out, I think 3 years ago in January of 2020. This is a beautiful product, but I feel like this is probably best suited to people who like a glowy appearance, perhaps those who don't set their face entirely. But if you do, it does look good with powder because I have it fully set today and I feel like you can still see a glow and it doesn't look heavy. But be careful if you have those expression lines on your face that you set those pretty carefully, or you will have product collecting in expression lines, wherever yours happen to be. I have the nasolabial folds, the crow's feet, and right up through here. I use my fingers to kind of pat it on, and then I go over it with a sponge to pick up any excess, and it gives a nice medium coverage if you build it, but a light medium coverage if you go over it with a damp sponge to pick up any excess. I really like this product. This has been one that really surprised me because I picked it up on a whim it was a great whim. I have 3 blushes to share with you today that I've been trying regularly. They're very similar in tone, or they all have kind of like that cooler rosy lean to them. But the one that is probably, I didn't know what to expect of it because sometimes luxury brands are just an expensive name. I didn't know whether the product was going to be good, but I picked it up during the Sephora sale this fall and I have not been able to stop using it. This is one of those that my hand is just perpetually reaching for. First of all, the color. This is the shade 05 Rosy Beige. This is the Luminous Matte Powder. I have this on today on top of another one, but look how pretty it is. It is a beautiful nude shade that has a rose lean to it. It's not too much. I told you I wear the lightest shade in this foundation. I'm always in the lightest to second lightest shade of foundations, of powders, of concealers. So a real deep and heavy blush can be very stark on my fair skin. This has been beautiful. The other thing that's really nice about it is you see how there's a subtle glow? It's not shiny, it's not highlighty, but it looks like skin. This is one of those few matte blushes that I can wear on days that I'm not wearing highlight, or I'll just throw a little bit of it on and it looks so pretty and natural. The other thing I like about this is it doesn't really end up looking powdery. It just looks pretty. I like this. I was looking like I want another one, and you know what? I'm not in love with any of the other shades. I might, if I were able to go into a place where I could swatch them, I might find another one that I liked. But I'm kind of not leaning into coral cheeks right now, or really bubblegummy pink cheeks. I feel like this is the perfect shade for kind of the blush that I'm enjoying at the moment color-wise. But this formula is really nice. If there is a color that really calls to you, I really, really, really like the formula. And of course, I mean, like, come on, how cute is this little package? All right, another one that really impressed me. I don't know that I love the packaging so much, but the product is beautiful. This is the cheek stamp from Kaja. The reason I say that, I mean, it has this cute little, heart-shaped foam where you, press it into the cushion on the bottom and you leave a little cheeky heart stamp. Okay, adorable. I don't really use this for application. I just stick my fingers or a brush in there. But this is what I have on underneath the one from Gucci. But look how pretty. It's like hardly there. The way that it goes on, it has a slight glow that looks skin-like but not sparkly. The glow comes more from the fact that it feels kind of like a slightly serum-y product in this cushion. I really like this. I don't know that this wears all day, but the thing is, when I wear this, I don't frequently set my cheek, and so I can just add a little bit more. Like I'll go like 6 or 7 hours and I'm like, oh, we're fading a little bit. But I feel like that's true for a lot of blush formulas. To get like, 12 or 16 hours out of a blush formula, I don't know. How many of mine actually go that far? Not that many. So I like things that I can layer up. If I need like a little pick-me-up later on in the day, this is great. I really have been liking this. But for me, it's the color and the way that it feels on my cheeks. And another one that I don't necessarily need to have a highlight over. Highlight works beautifully over the top of this, but like this blends with no effort and is super, super pretty. Love this. Now, the one that I really wanted to love because I heard they reformulated it, they repackaged it. I was like, yes, it still has the same problem that I've struggled with from day one with the first one. And this is the Color Serum Drops from M. This is one of those products that is very much like tinted skincare. That's how I see it. I love that they changed the dropper. They don't have the button that you push down. I like that we're able to get product dripping out of here with, the little dropper on here. I feel like it's better. This is a very, very emollient product. This is the shade Soft Amethyst, so I love this shade. And it has a lot of pigment, but do you see how shiny it is? Look how glowy it is. It's beautiful, but I cannot put this successfully over foundation, even an unset foundation, especially not one if I have powder over it. It's a cakey disaster. But I feel like Come summertime, this is a sort of thing where, you know, a little bit of blush, a little something in my eyebrows, the smallest little hint of concealer here, and a tinted lip balm. This is gonna be perfect for that almost no makeup kind of day. This is a product that I have wanted to love. I love the So Soft blushes. I love the Heaven's Glow baked blushes. I wanted to love this blush so much. So many people do, and maybe there is a secret handshake that I don't know about, because every single time I put this on my skin, it breaks up the foundation I have underneath. Even if I'm wearing just concealer, I'll start some here and then I'll start blending it down and it'll kind of hit the tops of my cheeks. If I take this blush up too high, and I like to drape my blush, I'm a child of the 80s. I love a really blushy draped cheek. This tends to even break up the concealer I have like right on the edges where I have it, kind of like if I'm only wearing concealer and it gets kind of like to this area, then it's a really obvious line of where the concealer stops and where this blush is. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but look how pretty it is. This is the sort of thing that come summertime, when I'm wearing very little makeup because I don't want it all to sweat off, I could see myself reaching for this. I do have another one. This is the old formulation and the old packaging in Cherry Splash, and I love this kind of bright cherry shade, but these blushes are not my daily. And I probably won't get any more of them. I was hoping that this reformulation would be like, oh yeah, it fixed the problem of not being able to go over foundation without breaking it up. No, I still have that problem, but I love these tones and I really like how glowy it is, but I can't get it to work for me over anything more than just skincare. I've got some other cheek products I wanted to talk about, but I'm gonna start with this. I love the M Cosmetics So Soft line. This is their stick cream and bronzer. I have one of these bronzing sticks in the shade Summer, but I picked this one up because this is kind of like their contour shade. This is the one called Terra. So this is one of those that blends with no effort. Look at that. Look how easy it is. And the edges of it, it's like, wait, where did it go? Beautiful. You could draw this on and all of a sudden sculpt your face, but it doesn't look like you have contour on because it's not heavy. It's also one of those that kind of dries down. It feels really creamy and it stays feeling creamy, so I can swipe it all over where I want it and then start blending it in. And by the time I get to the last spot, it hasn't dried to the point where it's stiff and I really have to work on it. This blends beautifully over foundation. This blends beautifully over, sometimes I'll put like a little bit of powder blush down and go, you know what, I need just a little bit of contour. I'll pick some of this up on a brush and stipple it in and it's beautiful. I think the difference between this formula and this formula is it's very liquid and this cream product is stunning. But I find that it gives me just the right amount of transition between, you know, where I want a little bit more depth or a little bit of warmth without being too much. This is fantastic. I love it. I'm glad I picked up the shade Terra. I do have the next lighter shade, which is Summer. It's the lightest bronzing shade, but I have been using this and I've been applying it like a contour, like right here on the hollows of the cheeks, right here, a little bit up on the temple area, but very, very minimally, especially in the wintertime, because I'm not trying to look like it's summer and I have a golden glow. I just want to look like I have a little shape to my face, and this has been helping me cheat that shape that I need. I picked up this highlight from Beauty Pie. This is the Triple Beauty Perfect Glowy Powder, and this is called Glow 10. Oh, she's bright. She's very, very bright. Look at that. Metallic. So pretty. This is one that I actually really like. I had tried several years ago. I think it's been like 2.5 years ago. I got their highlight shimmer bar or shimmer brick. I didn't like it. I felt like the formula was dry, it was flaky, it made my skin look older, and this was 2.5 years ago and my skin was in a better place than I am now. This looks really pretty right here where I tend to have my crow's feet. And I feel like if I take the time to kind of buff and blend it in, it doesn't look too icy. I'm wearing a different highlight today, but let me add just a little bit of this on for you. I feel like it's a really pretty glow. And it looks really nice. And then when I just take the time to buff it in, it brings the right amount of highlight to the face without being too much. I think it's really pretty. Do you have to have this? No. Are there other highlights in my collection that I like better? Yes. If you're making a beauty pie order and you see this and you want to try it, is it a good highlight? Yeah, it's a good highlight. I reach for it a lot. I also like using this for like an inner corner highlight. It's really pretty and, you know, brings a little bit of shine and bling to the inner corner. It's nice if you don't have a beauty pie account. I wouldn't say you need to rush out and purchase this. If you're making a purchase from Beauty Pie, this is not one of the first products I would say add to cart. But if you're looking for a highlight and you like the shade and you like the price, I feel like it's a nice formula. It's not my absolute favorite in my collection, but she does good things. I think this is nice. The one that I really wanted to be impressed with and like a little bit more, and maybe it's the color that I got, is this. This is the Haus Labs highlight. It's officially called the Bio Radiant Gel Powder Highlighter. And I have the shade in Sunstone. So I've been using it a lot. I think the color is pretty. It does, I think the problem for me is that at times it can look a little dry and it can emphasize the texture. I feel like if you are, you know, maybe under 40, I think this would be fine. I feel like if you go over it with the finishing powder, it looks fine. Then I'm not getting the full potential that this powder has. You can see I've been using it quite a lot. I'm trying to see which one of these. I feel like the one from Beauty Pie has just a little bit more of a glow to it. This one's nice. This is the one from Haus Labs. So if you like a slightly more subtle, you might like the one from Haus Labs, but for the price, I don't know, it feels a little powdery to me. And it doesn't always sit as nice on my skin. I did have this one down beforehand, but because it looked a little powdery, I had to go over it with the finishing powder, and then it brought down the glow a little bit, which is why I was able to put a little bit of this over the top. I want to love this. I want to love this. I want to be impressed with it. It's kind of expensive. I like the packaging. I like the pan impression. I like that it's a magnetic closure. I think everything about this is great. I think the product is just all right. It's not bad. I think this would probably be better suited to somebody who has less texture on their skin. I feel like my nearly 50-year-old skin is definitely having products sit on it differently now, which is why, if at all possible, I tend to go for a liquid or for a cream highlight. I feel like those bring some of that glow and bounce back to my skin, and powders can sit a little heavy. That's just part of getting older, and that's fine. This is a nice product, but it's not one that is checking every single box for me. And that's kind of what I'm looking for, especially from a powder highlight. I'm not intrigued or excited to run out and get the contour bronzing powder. I would not go and get another one of these. I'm not saying it's not good. It's just not fitting well into my collection, and I'm not excited to use it. This is not one of those that instantly has shot to the top and have been like, ooh, I can't stop reaching for it. No, I look at it and I go like, how much did I pay for that? All right, eyeshadows. Great. I got a set of Kaja products. It was a holiday set. It had a lip product. It had this cheeky stamp and this bento box. I got the bento box in Orange Blossom. So it's 3 shades. Every single one of these is a metallic. But let me tell you, these shades are so pretty. This is what they look like. I wear this shade as a one shadow look all the time. This one down here at the bottom is kind of hard to see because it's very close to my skin tone. And this one in the middle, I was worried, since this is the Orange Blossom stack, that I would be getting like a lot of orange. I feel like the packaging around the outside is much more orange than I'm getting from the actual shadow. You can build it up, but I like how reflective these are. And this one here, this kind of chocolatey brown one, is such a beautiful one shadow look. Oh my goodness. And I use this lightest shade here, the one that's very close to my skin tone, all the time, like on its own. Look how shiny it is. These are so nice. And I just use my finger, just like, and I'm out the door. I have used them with brushes, but I find that just the ease of having them there. The one thing that's kind of silly to me is that there's a little mirror in here. I don't find this mirror to be helpful. I can see like maybe one eye. But I feel like these are really nice. And if you like a smaller edited collection of shades, I like this. They do have ones that have a matte and two metallics. They have ones that are all matte. I really like that it's all metallic, but that doesn't bother me. I wear like a single metallic shade on my lid, you know, regularly for work days or days that I'm feeling lazy, or if I want a really sparkly, just one thing. These have been great. I picked up some products from Persona. For the longest time, the only Persona product I had was an eyeliner. I picked it up during a 21 Days of Beauty a couple years back from Ulta. And you know what? I really liked it. I liked it so much. It's probably one of my most used and favorite brown eyeliners. And so I made a purchase in December of 3 items from Persona. And one of them was this. This is the original Identity palette. It's what I'm wearing today. Okay, this is just fantastic. When I was on the Persona website, I read something that was interesting, that about 70% of the population around the world has brown eyes. And this palette, this Identity palette, was made specifically with people with brown eyes in mind. Now, I feel like these shades would look great on my 14-year-old. She has blue eyes. I feel like this would look great on my 12-year-old. They have hazily eyes. They're a little bit lighter, a little bit more green leaning. I feel like this would work on a lot of people. It's not limited to just brown eyes. It's nice to have something specially made for someone with brown eyes. I appreciate that. But what's great about this so far has been the formula. These are so easy. The one thing that I've noticed, a lot of my palettes, the more I use them, the more like sparkle fallout or matte powder kick up I'll have. There's very little, if any, kick up in here. I'm not seeing particles of shimmer from the metallics in the mattes. I feel like these are pressed, but not pressed too hard. They go on really nicely. They blend with no effort. I love the mattes in here. This is not the sort of palette I'm gonna be reaching for on a day when I want a super over the top kind of party look. This is my everyday workhorse. This is the sort of palette that I reach for. I wore it yesterday. I've already worn it twice this week. Today makes day number 3. I reach for it. Oh, guess what? We're headed to church and I've got 15 minutes to get my makeup on. I reach for this. Oh, I have to be to work in 20 minutes. I don't have a lot of time. I'll take a single eyeshadow over here, swipe it on my lid, a little mascara, and out the door. On days that I want to sit down and play with dimensionality and depth, I reach for this. It's a really beautiful palette, and it's just enough and it's never too much. I feel like there are days when I want extreme sparkle. I want like one of those special top coat sort of situations from Pat McGrath, or I want a really, really glorious pressed pigment from Sydney Grace. I want nothing but shine and sparkle. Or I want one of those ridiculously lustrous, give me glow pressed pigments. That's not what this gives. This gives your beautiful, you know, shiny, but everyday sort of look. So if you don't like those really flaky, shiny eyeshadows, you would like this formula. This wears really well. It wears well without eye primer. I am notorious for not wearing eyeshadow primer. I decided to put primer on today because I've never used this with primer, and I'm expecting this to be basically bulletproof. I am headed to work today, and so I know I'm gonna get a full day out of this, but it blended really, really easily. This palette is everything I need to do a look. I have really light shades, I have really deep shades, I have metallics, I have mattes, they're warm, they're cool. The mirror is a really good size. And if I put it on the table in front of me, the mirror stands up on its own. I don't know, I just feel like everything about this palette is great. I like the packaging. I wish I had picked it up right when it first came out. I remember seeing it and everybody was talking about it. But this is one of those palettes that's been out for years now, and I just can't get it off my mind. And I'm not disappointed. Not even a little bit. This has been one that I'm really grateful to have, and it builds really beautiful wearable daily looks. The other thing that I picked up from Persona is I got another one of their pencils. I have the one in brown, which I really love, and is somewhere and is really short. I picked up the shade Bronze. I am wearing this with my look today. The formula of this pencil is incredible. This is one that you have to sharpen. It doesn't come with a sharpener, but any sharpener you have will do a good job of sharpening this. This is one of those that once it sets, it doesn't budge. I don't understand like the magic involved in this. I'm able to put this like up in between my lashes. I'll just like kind of shove it around along the bottom side of my lash line. I also have it on the top lash line, but I find that when I, you know, kind of put it in here, and I'm not really trying to tight line, I'm just trying to hit those gaps. I'm not going all the way back in my upper waterline. I'm just trying to make sure I don't have those gaps along my eyelashes. And I find that even though it is kind of like a rusty, warm tone, it's dark enough to bring down those little flush tone gaps in between my lashes, and it gives me a more cohesive look. It's probably a little bit warmer than maybe I thought it was going to be, but I've actually been enjoying this. This is my favorite thing to wear on days that I'm not wearing eyeshadow. I'll just put a fairly heavy line of this, add a little mascara, and I'm out the door, and that's what I do for work some days. It's a really, really beautifully formulated pencil. I am kind of curious about their plum toned one. I forget what it's called, but this one in bronze is nice. My favorite still, I think, is the brown. It's just called brown. It's amazing. And this wears beautifully, and it does not get eaten up by my leaky left eye. I have a perpetually leaky left eye, and it can wreak havoc with mascara, eyeshadow, eyeliner. I quit wearing eyeliner for years because I could never find one that this would not end up ruining. This is great stuff. The last thing I have tried is this. I really wanted to love this. This is the Tattoo Pencil Liner from KVD. All right. I picked up the shade Trooper. Look how black it is. It's a really nice black gel liner. This is one that twists up. So if you want to sharpen it, you need like a sharpener. And I know that like I have little sharpeners like this from my Essence lip liners. I probably will use that to sharpen this. This works well above my lash line, but if I shove it in between my lashes the way I do with this one here from Persona, and I blink, and I don't know if it's because it's black, this one's lighter, this one's darker, I start getting transfer below. And the minute I start getting transfer below into my lower waterline, my eyes are already small. And if I get product in my lower waterline, it just makes my eyes look even smaller. And then I start having it, you know, settle either out here and I cry little sad panda tears, or going into my inner corner and it gets caught up with whatever the eye goo is that your eye makes, and then you have like a little black glob. Okay, so me and black eyeliner, we're not best friends. I'm trying to really like it. The reason I picked this up is because I had a lot of people asking if I'd tried it. And I knew it was new for 2022. And I was like, no, let me pick one up. And I went to Ulta and I swatched it on the back of my hand and I walked around the store for about 5 minutes. And then I was like, oh, let me see. And I started to like do this and it didn't budge. And I was like, oh, really? So I bought it. I was like, great, I'll get it. I'll be able to, you know, tight line my upper waterline. I'll be able to use it. It's not going to be eaten up by my leaky left eye. But I don't know why this one doesn't do what the one in store did. I don't know if those were put out as samples and then they reformulated. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe because when I look at this, that's not what I want. And I'm not even really pressing that hard. I want it to be indelible, especially with black eyeliner, especially at my age, because I have more wrinkles and lines. I can't have it kind of melting and slipping into the creases. I can't have it getting eaten up by my perpetually watery left eyes. Both of my eyes water, but this left one, I will have like a little dime-sized patch of bare skin here at the end of the day because, you know, my leaky left eye is forever leaking and it eats up everything. There are some that it doesn't do, like this Persona one doesn't have that problem. Look at this. It doesn't budge. There's no budging with this. And this budges really easily. I was very disappointed by this. If you don't have leaky eyes, if you're not using it to tight line, if you want it for just above the lash line, I find that it works well there. The minute I extend it into a wing and it starts getting into all of my little crinkles here, it doesn't glide as well as I would like. And then throughout the day, it sometimes kind of starts to spider out into line. This is definitely a no for me. This is not one that I would recommend. If you have like eyes that perfectly behave all the time and you're only using it above your lash line, you could probably get it to work, but I'm disappointed in this. Just so you know, I am using a balm cleanser, and even this line here, after me rubbing over it, there is still some of that Persona one, and the one from KVD is completely gone. Just keep that in mind. Thank you so much for watching today. I would love to know if you have products that have been amazing for you, ones that just have blown you out of the water, that you were so surprised and impressed by, or ones that you had really high expectations for that turned out not to be what you needed or performed in the way you were expecting. Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have an incredible day, and I'll see you again soon.